At 75, I've seen many paths, but one decision I'm profoundly grateful I didn't make was retiring too early. It was a choice that went against the grain, a quiet refusal of what many consider the ultimate reward. Oh, the siren song of leisure. I remember it well. The endless sunny days, no alarm clocks, no deadlines, just pure, unadulterated freedom. Everyone around me was planning their escape to the golf course, the beach, or simply their own backyard hammock. It was tempting, a pervasive dream society sells us. The true happiness lies in the absence of obligation. It felt like the ultimate reward, the comfortable path everyone deserved after a lifetime of work. I was right there, on the brink. The paperwork was ready, the calculations done, but something gnawed at me. I'd look at my friend Margaret, who retired at 60, and within a year she seemed to have shrunk, her vibrant energy replaced by a quiet sameness. I asked myself, what if that freedom isn't what it promises? What if it's just an empty space waiting to be filled, and I don't know how? That gut feeling, that whisper of doubt, made me pause. And so I chose a different path, and today I want to share with you why I'm so incredibly grateful for that choice. Many of you might be dreaming of that early exit, or perhaps you've already taken it and are feeling a little lost. But before you make that leap, or if you're already navigating it, I want to share 6 hard truths I've learned about purpose, connection, and vitality in our later years. Stay with me until the very end, because some of these insights might truly surprise you and challenge everything you thought you knew about retirement. Now, let's get started with the first hard truth: the silent erosion of identity. For so many of us, our work, our careers, it wasn't just a way to earn money. It was a badge, a part of who we were. I was a teacher for over 40 years, and that title, Eleanor Vance Educator, it carried weight. It came with responsibilities, with respect, with a clear place in the world. I remember thinking, during those times I considered stepping away completely. Who am I without it? It's a strange feeling to imagine shedding that label you've worn for decades, like taking off a familiar coat and suddenly feeling exposed. The thought of losing that structure, that definition, felt disorienting, even a little frightening. I had a taste of this during a sabbatical once, years ago. For the first few weeks, it was pure bliss. No alarm clocks, no lesson plans, just endless mornings. But after a while, a quiet unease started to creep in. My days felt long, stretched out with no clear purpose. I wasn't Mrs. Vance anymore. I was just Eleanor. I started to feel like a name without a purpose, a book without a story. It wasn't that I didn't have hobbies or family, but that core part of me, the one that contributed, that solved problems, that felt useful, it was missing. That experience was a profound lesson. It pushed me to actively seek new ways to contribute and define myself before I ever fully stepped away from my career. I realized then that this feeling of no one was a trap I needed to avoid at all costs. I've seen this happen to friends who retired early, often with the best intentions. My friend Arthur, a brilliant engineer, was so proud of his work, always talking about his projects. But after he retired at 60, his conversations slowly changed. He stopped talking about innovations and started reminiscing about the good old days. He became Arthur, who used to be someone, and I could see the spark dimming in his eyes. Or my neighbor Margaret, whose whole identity revolved around raising her children and grandchildren. Once they were grown and moved away, she found herself an empty nester with an empty calendar, struggling to find new meaning. Their days, once filled with purpose and the tangible results of their efforts, became a void. They had so much to give, but suddenly no one seemed to be asking. It's a quiet tragedy, watching someone lose that essential sense of self. If you're considering early retirement or even just what life will look like without your primary role, ask yourself this: are you ready to shed the labels that have defined you for decades and still truly know who you are? Have you cultivated other facets of your identity, other sources of purpose that can fill that void? Because once you lose that sense of purpose, getting it back isn't as simple as finding a new hobby. It's about fighting to hold on to the things that make you feel alive, useful, and uniquely you. If you found this first truth resonated with you, please take a moment to comment 1 below to let me know you're here and engaged. Now, let's talk about the second hard truth I've learned, the fading connection. When we think about work, we often focus on the tasks, the income, the routine. But what many of us don't fully appreciate are the invisible threads that connect us. The casual chats by the water cooler, the shared lunch breaks, the quick greetings in the hall. These aren't just polite exchanges. They're the daily touch points that build a sense of community, a feeling of belonging. They're crucial for our well-being, often more so than we realize until they're gone. I'm profoundly grateful that my decision to stay engaged, even if not in a formal 9-to-5, has kept those threads strong for me. I'm still involved with my community garden, I volunteer at the local library, and I lead a small book club. Just last week, after our book club meeting, my friend Martha and I stayed for an extra hour, just laughing and sharing stories about our grandchildren. It wasn't planned, it just happened, organically. These aren't just activities, they're lifelines. They bring genuine joy, intellectual stimulation, and a robust support system. My purpose keeps me connected, surrounded by laughter and conversation. But I've seen a different path than some of my friends who embraced early retirement wholeheartedly. Take Margaret, for example. She was always the life of the office party, surrounded by people. When she retired, she envisioned endless coffee dates and social gatherings. In the beginning, there were a few, but slowly the invitations dwindled. Her old colleagues were still caught up in their daily routines, and she no longer had those built-in, incidental connections. She started to say she was busy, but I sensed it was often busy with nothing. She lost her daily rhythm, and with it, her regular touch-points for connection. It's not that her friends stopped loving her, but life just moves on. The calls became fewer, the visits rarer, and a quiet solitude settled in. It's a subtle shift, but it's powerful. When you step away from the routines that naturally weave you into a social fabric, those connections can slowly unravel. If you're considering early retirement, ask yourself, are you prepared for your contact list to shrink, or will you actively cultivate new connections and communities to fill that space? Because once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. Now, let's talk about something incredibly important, something we often take for granted until it starts to fade. Our minds. I'm sitting here at my desk, a challenging crossword puzzle spread out before me, a stack of books on local history waiting. My brain thrives on a good puzzle, whether it's a crossword, a complex project at the community center, or even just researching a new topic that piques my curiosity. I've learned that our minds are like any other muscle. They need to be used, stretched, and challenged to stay strong. The satisfaction of figuring out a difficult clue or understanding a new concept is more than just a passing pleasure. It's a vital act of self-preservation. When we stop giving our brains a reason to work, they slowly, almost imperceptibly, start to lose their edge. I consider my life a kind of cognitive playground now. Just last week, I was teaching a group of seniors how to use a new online scheduling tool for our volunteer shifts. It was a challenge for them and for me, making sure I could explain it clearly and patiently. Or my book club, where we just debated the nuances of a classic novel for hours. Every new challenge is like a workout for my brain, keeping it nimble. I'm not just reading. I'm analyzing, learning, and often teaching. This continued engagement, whether it's volunteering, learning a new hobby, or simply staying curious about the world, keeps my mind sharp. I find immense joy in mastering new things and sharing what I know. It's not about being the smartest. It's about staying engaged, staying active, and proving to myself that I can still grow and adapt. But I've seen the other side, the quiet danger of the idle mind. My friend Arthur, a brilliant retired architect, embraced early retirement with dreams of endless reading and quiet contemplation. At first, it sounded wonderful. But after a few years, I noticed a subtle shift. Our conversations, once lively and insightful, became repetitive. He'd struggle to recall details or lose the thread of a discussion. He'd often say, "My mind just isn't as quick as it used to be." It wasn't a sudden decline, but a gentle drift, like a boat without a rudder, slowly losing its way. I saw his curiosity wane, his interest in new ideas dim. He wasn't solving problems, wasn't learning new skills, wasn't engaging in the kind of mental heavy lifting that had defined him. It was heartbreaking to witness that bright spark dim, not due to illness, but simply from lack of use. So if you're thinking about retiring early, or if you're already retired and finding your days stretching out with less mental stimulation, I urge you to ask yourself, is your mind still playing? What challenges are you setting for your mind, or are you letting it coast into complacency? Because once that mental inertia sets in, once the brain starts to lose its hunger for learning and problem-solving, it can be incredibly difficult to reverse. Don't let the promise of ease become a trap for your cognitive health. Prioritize learning, engage in new hobbies, find ways to contribute your knowledge. Keep your brain active, keep it curious, keep it vibrant. If you're finding these insights valuable, please subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. I wasn't running marathons, but the daily act of gardening, walking to the store, bending down to pick up something I'd dropped, it all added up. We often think of exercise as a specific block of time dedicated to a workout. But for most of our lives, movement is woven into the fabric of our days. It's in the tending of a garden, the bustling around the kitchen, the simple act of getting up and down from a chair. These aren't just chores. They're gentle, consistent acts of self-preservation. When the idea of early retirement came knocking, promising endless leisure, I saw how easily those small, purposeful movements could disappear. The allure of having everything done for you, or simply not needing to do anything, felt like a comfort, but I realized it was a deceptive one. My purpose keeps me on my feet, literally, and I wouldn't trade that for endless couch time. I'm not just talking about formal exercise. I mean the kind of movement that naturally comes from having a reason to be active. My volunteer work at the community center means walking there and back, carrying stacks of books for the library, or helping arrange chairs for an event. Even my simple routine of walking to the local market for fresh produce, carrying my reusable bag, ensures my legs and arms get a gentle workout. Just last week, I managed to carry a heavier bag of groceries than I thought I could, and the little burst of pride I felt was a reminder of how vital this incidental activity is. These aren't scheduled workouts, but they are crucial for keeping my joints nimble, my muscles engaged, and my balance steady. It's these small, consistent efforts that compound over time, preventing that quiet surrender of the body. But I've watched friends, full of vigor when they retired early, slowly succumb to what I call the sedentary spiral. My friend Alice, who used to walk miles every day, embraced her newfound freedom by simply stopping. At first, it was lovely, she said. No schedules, no pressure. But then, standing for long periods became a little harder. Her back ached more. Soon, the desire to walk to the park turned into a preference for sitting on her porch. Her body, once so active, began to protest. It wasn't a sudden collapse, but a gentle, insidious decline. Before she knew it, going to the grocery store became a major expedition, and then, sadly, she was relying on a walker for even short distances around her home. They exchanged their daily activity for endless rest, and their body slowly surrendered. When you stop challenging your body, even in small ways, it starts to lose its capabilities much faster than you'd ever expect. If you're considering early retirement, ask yourself, when everything is set up to make life effortless, will you still fight to keep your body strong? Because once you slow down, once those muscles begin to atrophy and your joints stiffen, getting back up isn't as simple as you think. It takes twice the effort to regain what was lost in half the time. Your physical independence is a precious gift, one that's easily taken for granted until it starts to slip away. Find your purpose. Find your reasons to move, even if it's just tending to a small window box or walking around the block. Don't let the promise of endless rest lead to your body's quiet surrender. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. Truth number 5, and perhaps one of the most profound, is the loss of tangible impact. You see, it's not just about what we do for ourselves, but what we do for others, and how we leave our mark, however small. When I'm at the library, gently placing a returned book back on its shelf, or helping a young student find the right reference for their project, there's a quiet satisfaction. It's not about the paycheck, it's about the feeling that what you do matters, even if it's just to one person. We all have an innate need to contribute, to feel useful, to know that our presence makes a positive difference in the world. And that feeling, that sense of legacy, is something that early retirement can quietly strip away. I've been fortunate to keep those ripples of influence flowing. Just last spring, at our community garden, I helped a new volunteer, a young woman named Sarah, who was struggling with her tomato plants. She was ready to give up, but with a few simple tips from my years of gardening, her plants thrived. The look on her face when she harvested her first ripe tomato, the pride in her voice when she thanked me, that's a tangible impact. Or when I helped organize the local historical society's archives, knowing my efforts would preserve stories for generations to come. Every seed I plant, every person I help, every bit of history I preserve, reminds me my story isn't over yet. These aren't grand gestures, but they are meaningful, and they validate my continued purpose in a way that endless leisure never could. But I've watched friends who retired early struggle with this. My friend Charles was a brilliant architect, designing buildings that shaped our city skyline. After he retired at 62, he'd talk about his old projects, but his voice would often trail off, a wistful look in his eyes. He had so much wisdom, so many creative solutions still within him, but suddenly, no one seemed to be asking. His phone stopped ringing with collaborators. His insights were no longer sought. He'd say he felt like an unused tool, gathering dust in a shed. It's a heartbreaking thing to witness. Someone with so much to offer suddenly feeling invisible, their invaluable gifts and experience simply fading away. The yearning for usefulness and recognition, once so central, often goes unfulfilled in the quiet of early retirement. And that brings me to a crucial question for you. If you're thinking about stepping away completely, ask yourself, what legacy will you build? What mark will you leave on the world, big or small, once your defined role is gone? Are you prepared for your invaluable experience and wisdom to gather dust, or will you actively find new ways to share your gifts, to continue contributing to something larger than yourself? Because once you stop contributing, it's easy for the world to stop asking, and for you to start feeling that your story is complete when it truly doesn't have to be. Now, for the 6th and final truth, the one that often surprises people the most. It's about the silent, insidious pull of absolute ease. Who wouldn't want to wake up every morning with no schedule, no deadlines, no responsibilities demanding their time or energy? It sounds like paradise, doesn't it? The dream of endless leisure, of days stretching out with nothing but personal pleasure on the horizon. I know I felt that strong pull, that deep longing for complete rest after decades of working hard and raising a family. It's a powerful temptation, this vision of a life unburdened. And it's completely understandable to crave it. But here's what I learned, even from my own small brushes with it, that alluring ease carries a hidden weight. I remember a time, years ago, when I had a particularly quiet month with fewer commitments. I told myself it would be a wonderful opportunity to relax completely. And it was, for a few days. But then, a strange inertia started to set in. Getting up from my favorite armchair, where I'd happily spent hours with a book, felt like more effort. The thought of starting a project, even one I loved, seemed daunting. It takes a conscious, sometimes difficult, fight to stay engaged. I felt that gentle pull, the couch slowly trying to claim me, and I realized how quickly the habit of activity can slip away if you let it. I've seen this subtle shift become a permanent barrier for some of my friends who embraced early retirement wholeheartedly. They talk about wanting to get back into volunteering or picking up a hobby they once loved, but they can't seem to find the spark. My friend Susan, a vibrant teacher, retired at 62. A few years later, she confided in me, "Eleanor, I miss feeling needed. I keep thinking about helping at the library, but by the time I talk myself into getting ready, the day feels half gone, and it's easier to just stay home. The longer you stay disengaged, the heavier the pull of inertia becomes, making it feel like an impossible climb back up. The confidence to step out, to learn something new, to face a new challenge, it simply erodes. That's the part nobody tells you. Moving towards complete ease feels like a temporary decision, a choice you can easily reverse. But for many, it isn't. The comfortable routine of doing nothing slowly becomes an invisible chain, binding you to a life that might feel less fulfilling than you imagined. Are you prepared for the possibility that once you step away from purpose, stepping back in might not be as simple as you think? Because once you settle into that absolute ease, the barriers to re-engagement, whether they're mental, physical, or emotional, can be harder to overcome than you expect. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. Looking back, I don't regret getting older. Not for a moment. But I'm profoundly grateful I didn't believe early retirement was my soulmate option. I saw how easily identity, connection, sharp minds, strong bodies, tangible impact, and the chance to re-engage could slip away. If I could do it over, I would choose this path. Again, every time. The life you have today, your purpose, your choices, your engagement, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. What will you choose?